go into episode 2 here. It starts with them talking to Tom and his family, what Tom went through on draft day, and he's documented it before how he thought he could go anywhere from the third. He thought he was going to be a third or a fourth round pick, and quarterbacks kept getting picked in front of him, and he remembered going for a walk and with a bat and hitting the bat in his hand because he was so frustrated that he wasn't getting picked. Ends up getting he ends up getting picked by the Patriots in the 6th round. And when on his introductory press conference or whenever they bring in all the draft picks, he goes up to Robert Kraft, introduces himself, and Robert says that I know who you are. You're our 6th round pick, our quarterback from Michigan, and he just said that I wanted to let you know that I'm the best decision this organization has ever made. And at this point, nobody knew who he was. Robert Kraft was taken aback by this. It was like, who is this 6th round guy telling me that I'm the best? He's the best decision this organization has ever made. And I think the biggest takeaway from episode 2 is how Tom ingratiated himself into the locker room, where he was one of the guys. He would go out and drink with the offensive linemen. He would go do beer chugging contests with them, mix in a water here and there so he could keep up with them. And talking about how much work he put in. And Bill Belichick talked about how he challenged Bill because Tom was so well prepared that Bill had to be prepared for any questions Tom would have that Bill might not have prepared for.
One thing I loved about Tom and just his confidence that he had in himself was when he was to dinner with Lawyer Malloy and Ty Law, and he looks at the 2 veteran leaders of that secondary, and he goes, "Hey guys, I'm not going to give the starting job up. This is my job to have." And then Lawyer and Ty kind of look at each other like, "Okay, get it, young man, get it." But deep down inside, they're like, "Is this dude crazy? Like, what is he talking about? This is Bill's team. He's not even going to get a shot." But hey, good for him for having the confidence to go out there and try to make plays.
Yeah, and the other part that they talked about was how from his rookie year to that point is how Brady was kept ascending and going, like, improving each week, where Bledsoe more so just kind of was flatlining and plateaued. And in the end, that was ultimately why they ended up going with Brady, is just because they felt that he had the higher upside. And one of Belichick's that he was best known for is knowing when to cut bait with somebody, and maybe did it a year or two too early. But going with Brady, it felt like there was a little more juice with the team. Guys seemed to rally around him. It was never said, but it almost kind of implied like Drew had the attitude that since he was the quarterback, he didn't have to partake in everything. He didn't have to go to the dinners, the meetings, or those team building events, where Tom really understood that that football, it was a relationship business, and what they did, the trust they developed off the field developed into trust on the field. And, Grant, like you were talking about when he was at dinner with Lawyer Malloy and Ty Law, he said he's not giving this job back. And they thought he was crazy, but they could tell, I think they sensed that they believed him, that he's going to make sure he's not giving that job back. And if he fails, it's just because he didn't have that skill level. He was what he was.
Did you guys notice Gus Johnson was the one that called the very first game he went in?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
He's right away.
Ian Eagle called his the walk-off versus the Colts, basically. Like, Can you imagine being from right there, calling Tom Brady to where he went? Like, that would just be the most incredible thing to see that ascend and just be there for like almost every week, or how many games throughout each season. Like, that would just be absolutely unbelievable.
Well, and then like even on that same note, like where Gus Johnson and Ian Eagle are now, like Gus Johnson's everyone's favorite play-by-play guy in college football, and Ian Eagle is now going to do his first Final Four here in 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And
his son's doing NBC.
His son did so good in the Michigan State Minnesota basketball game on Peacock.
How good is him and Blackledge? They were the best team in college football this year.
Yeah.
And they did 2 NFL games. They did 2 NFL games this year, man, and they were incredible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, exactly to your point, Ethan. Like Gus Johnson, he's getting his career started, and then 20 years later, he's where he is. And now Tom is known as just Brady.
Yeah.
Like when you can walk across in life and people know you as one name, that's when you know you've made it.
Yeah.
When you have one name, it's like you're just special, man. But no, Dylan, I agree. I'm with you. Bledsoe had that sense of arrogance and smugness that, hey, this is my team. I'm in bed with the owner. I can do whatever I want, get whatever I want. And Tom had that blue-collar workers mentality that he developed, I'm guessing, at the University of Michigan under Lloyd Carr. Because people forget, at Michigan, he had to compete to get the starting job, I think, his junior and senior year. He wasn't even –
he had to alternate his senior year because it was Drew Henson was the popular guy. He was the in-state kid, like one of the top recruits in the country, and had a bad game against Michigan State, got benched, and Tom never gave that job back. But Grant, you talked about how it being Drew Bledsoe's team and Adam Vinatieri, and I think that this might actually be the best way to summarize episode 2 is Adam Vinatieri talking about with Tom, it didn't feel like it was Bill's team. It didn't feel like it was Tom's team. It didn't feel like it was Robert Kraft's team, even though he was the one signing our checks.
Owning the team.
It felt like it was our team.
And that Super Bowl against St. Louis, I know they haven't got this far in the documentary yet, is a perfect example of that. I think St. Louis came out and introduced their starting offense. New England came out that year as a team, as one. It was perfect that same year after the September 11th attack. The Super Bowl is in New Orleans. It's a red, white, and blue logo. The Patriots are in there. The Minutemen who founded this country. It was the perfect representation of a team. And I don't think we'll ever see that ever again in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think actually that's what started, because now you see they don't do starters anymore. Everybody, both of them come out as a team now. So that might have been started from when the Patriots did that. So episode 1 and 2, episode 3 and 4, we'll be recapping next week.
Also, Dylan, real quick, one thing. What's crazy is, and I'm surprised no one in the media has talked about this for this last 25-year run that the Patriots had, was we might not have seen Tom Brady there's no doubt in my mind that Tom was eventually going to play, and he was going to take over Bledsoe's job. But, hear me out, if it wasn't for the September 11th attack, and the NFL doesn't have to postpone those games another week, the ultimate hypothetical card is this. Bledsoe doesn't get hurt. He keeps playing. Maybe Tom doesn't come in until week 6 or 7 or 8, and the season's already gone and passed by, and they don't get that first Super Bowl, and they don't have the mojo, and they don't go all in on him. Maybe this dynasty doesn't happen. It's something weird to say, but them pushing that game back a week changed NFL history forever. Had that not happened, had those attacks not happened, the Pittsburgh Steelers might be the team of the 2000s.
Yeah.
It could be.
It's kind of crazy to think about, but how those attacks and how the NFL had to cancel football because everyone's mind was on New York and all those poor people. Then Bledsoe gets hurt the week after. You just don't know what could have happened had that not happened, which is just crazy to think.